This is Travels on Court, where we're sharing the world of wine with you. Welcome to Sonoma County. Today we are in Windsor, and we're gonna go visit 4 distinctive properties that are part of the Foley Food and Wine Society. We're standing here in the vineyards before our first tasting of the day inside Foley Sonoma. And then we're gonna continue on to places like Chalk Hill, Roth, and even Lancaster. We're going to see the differences between what they grow on each estate vineyard, as well as where they are located here in Sonoma County. Foley Food and Wine Society starts all with Mr. Bill Foley. And Mr. Bill Foley, you might know the name because it's related to Fidelity. You might know the name because it's related to the Las Vegas Golden Knights hockey team, amongst other ventures. The Foley family has a passion for food and wine. Mr. Foley has been in the wine business for a couple decades now, going and selecting certain properties to acquire over the years, keeping a lot of the same family operations in place that made these distinctive properties famous to begin with in their own right. Also, he's keeping it within his family. We're here at Foley Sonoma. 2016 is when the Foley family took over this particular winery, and Bill's daughter Courtney was the original winemaker here. She actually has since gone over to Chalk Hill, where we're going to be a little bit later on this afternoon, and then her assistant winemaker has become the winemaker here, and so we'll also get to try some of her previous work here at Foley Sonoma as well as Chalk Hill later on. So we're here in the Alexander Valley AVA, and the Russian River is actually close by us, running here as well. We have some very distinctive topography and also water source for this particular area that we're in. When you're visiting here in the Alexander Valley AVA, you're going to see varietals like Foley Sonoma has, such as Cabernet, Cab Franc Merlot, and even Chardonnay. Their current case production here is about 5,000 cases per year. And this particular tasting room and winery behind us, they do their production on site, and then they have a gorgeous tasting room that has really unique architecture. It's actually won awards after it was first built. We really like visiting, not only because you have the vineyards around us, you can actually hear a little of the production this morning that's happening behind us, and then you really get to see what goes into the bottle here in the tasting room. All right, we just finished our first tasting flight here of the day here at Foley Sonoma. We started with a Chardonnay that was a neutral oak. We went on to a Rosé that was a blend of 2 different varietals with really limited skin tact, really light colored Rosé, just barely pink at all. Then we went and progressed onto an Old Vine Zinfandel that is grown from the vineyards that are the northeast corner of the tasting room here, so you can see them out the back patio. Then we progressed onto a 2014 Cabernet, and then the Courtney's Cuvée, which is the Courtney we talked about, the winemaker that's now at Chalk Hill, was the original winemaker at this property, and she's still actually involved in the production of that because it bears her name, even though she's at one of the neighboring properties here in the area. Next, we're headed over to Lancaster, and we are switching from a little bit lighter wines over here. We're going to go to big, heavy cab land. That's what Lancaster is known for. We kind of stretched out our taste buds here, and we're going to get into some bigger, bolder wines over at Lancaster. Country. We're at the very bottom of the Anderson Valley AVA, and when we go around the corner and up the hill to the next spot that we're going to, Chalk Hill, we're in the Chalk Hill AVA. And so it's a really unique spot here to see where we have all this cab, and when we go around the corner, we're actually going to be going and seeing a lot more Chardonnay because it's up on a higher elevation. It's a whole nother AVA. So that just really shows you about these amazing microclimates in wine, how drastic something can be as a little valley like this where it's hotter as opposed to something that might get a little more fog, a little more breeze up on a hill.
New French old girls, 26 months age.
Time for 100% Cabernet.
We had 3 distinctive Cabernets here. We actually had a nice side-by-side between their 2015 and their 2016 Cabernet. They're both estate Cabernets, and the 15 is interesting because it was a little bit over 75% Cabernet and a few other varietals in it, including Malbec, Cabernet Franc. And then the 16 actually was even more Cab dominant and had a lot more Cabernet Sauvignon in it with some of the same varietals, but a different percentage each one of those. So the 15 had been nice and smooth. The tannins had smoothed out in it a little bit, and it had a lot of structure and layers of flavor, where the 16 was still, I wouldn't even call it young, but I would call it a little more bold, a little more robust, still rounding out. And really enjoyed them both in different ways. And then as a special treat, we got to try their 2017 single vineyard estate Cabernet, where it was 100% Cabernet. I would call it a quintessential steak wine. It is big, robust, something that really has a lot of tannins on your tongue. Not too chalky, but something that really kind of gives you that dryness where you just want to have an amazing ribeye or a filet mignon with it. So we're gonna progress here from Cab Country, go up the hill where we're gonna go a little bit lighter on some of our varietals, go get some more Chardonnay, maybe a little bit of Merlot, and a few other varietals. A good juxtaposition from what we just had. Let's get rolling. Just a quick 6-mile windy turny jaunt, and we are here from Lancaster and have arrived at Chalk Hill. And if you get a glimpse of this beautiful, beautiful hill behind me, you start understanding why it's called Chalk Hill. And what a scenic place this is. Mary Ellen and I have loved this place for a long time. It's one of my favorite wineries to go to anywhere, so we're really excited to share this beautiful property and these beautiful wines with you. We're gonna head over to the tasting room, get started with some great estate Chardonnay. I know they always have that. They often use malolactic fermentation, which gives it that really creamy texture in your mouth, what's called a mouthfeel, and that's one of my favorite things. I really like how they finish their wines here. And then if you remember from before, this is where Courtney, Bill Foley's daughter, she's now the winemaker here. So she moved from Foley Sonoma, which was originally kind of her property and her estate and her project. They do so many more wines here. The calling to her several years ago was to come here, really be the winemaker at this much larger estate, larger productions, and so many more things that they're doing here. Keep it in the family, which I think is great as well. We're gonna enjoy some scenery, enjoy some great wines. Excited to share this with you. So we got here and it's barely breezy at all, and now when we're leaving it's getting very breezy, which is wonderful because the heat of the day today is like 92, 93 degrees. So this is a welcome relief here. Leaving Chalk Hill, literally gonna go right down the hill of this long driveway to Chalk Hill Estate, go to Roth. which is our fourth and final stop of the day. But Chalk Hill is such a treat for us. They even give us a little basket of fresh vegetables. Check this thing out.
Look at this, all these beautiful vegetables from their garden here on Chalk Hill.
They have a wonderful estate. When you're here tasting on the patio of the wine room like we were, you're actually looking out over the many acres of grapes that they have. We're looking over Cabernet grapes and a little bit of Merlot. And then they also have Chardonnay, which is what this property is known for. If you probably see Chalk Hill in a grocery store, they do a big production Chardonnay more often than not. So if you've seen Chalk Hill, you've probably seen that at like Costco. We love this property, met some really nice people here, had great service as we always do here. It's just so great because you're really seeing what goes into the bottle. And in this case, we're also seeing what comes from the garden. Time to go to Roth. Our fourth and final stop here is Roth Estate. This is a wonderful production house here. They're known for their reds, but we actually like a lot of their whites. And today a Sauvignon Blanc was actually the standout wine on the tasting menu that we had. Right behind me is their wine cave. They do a lot of different events here. We got a little private tour, which is great. What's cool about this particular wine cave is they have what's called a living wall. So you'll see that there's an illumination of this shape and they put light into it, but they literally, as they carved into the earth, the raw earth here, they left a piece of the open earth as kind of a natural artwork. So when you go up and you touch that actual piece of earth, you literally have the moisture of being underground and you have a real true essence of the cave. It's not just this enclosed kind of stuffy place. This Roth Estate experience is much more than the wine cave itself. It is a nice portfolio of white wines and red wines. They do some big productions, so you might even see the Roth brand. Their logo is actually a bear. It kind of looks like a lion, and we went to Lancaster earlier and a lot of people see that logo and it is definitely a lion. It's like that roaring lion like you might see in like medieval times on flags and things like that of different kingdoms. This logo is actually a bear, and so we went from the lion winery into the bear winery, and it's all part of this bigger Foley brand, and so they are totally distinctive in their own ways. And so you kind of see this guy right here, that's a bear, not a lion. So we're rounding out our tour of 4 distinctive properties here in the Windsor area, all underneath the Foley Food and Wine Society brand. We've taken you from properties that are in the Anderson Valley AVA to the top of the Chalk Hill AVA, taking you on a little journey in between as far as some of those back turns, along with some of the cyclists and some of the other fun hazards that you have in between your wine tasting appointments. So we hope you enjoyed this journey and learned a little bit more about this northern Sonoma County wines and what makes this area so unique. When you see these golden hills, when you see these majestic oak trees in the area, when you see these expansive vineyards on these sloping hillsides, this really gives you an essence of going to the source and really understanding what goes into that bottle of wine that you're having, what goes into that bottle of wine that you're sharing with someone on a special occasion, or maybe having dinner with family. So we hope that we brought a lot of value to you and really understanding of this really unique pocket of Sonoma County. And if you're interested in learning more about wine, please hit that bell below to get those notifications. Please hit the subscribe button because we want to continue to share the world of wine with you. This is Eric with Travels Uncorked, and thank you for joining us. We'll see you on our next adventure.